In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. So, Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live, Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone beseech for Thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard Thy teachings. Say He, Allah is one God. Allah is He of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is He begotten, there is none like Him. And I bear witness that none deserve to be served, worship, or praised besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that send us the greetings of Assalamu Alaikum. We have Brother Minister Michael Shabazz from Gary, Indiana. We have Brother Calvin Shabazz from Atlanta. We have Brother Willis from California. We have Sister Betty Jewell from Chicago. We have Brother Abdul Ali from Florida. And we have the Rafiq family. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, in the name of His last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. We want to continue with our talk on which one will survive the war of Armageddon. And today we want to talk about the August 6, 1965, Muhammad speaks. And it says, Messenger of Allah warns, accept your own or perish. Now this title, or this Muhammad Speaks newspaper, has Dr. King on the front cover. And this is an example of how the messenger himself used to talk about Dr. King. Because the picture, under the picture it says, Reverend Martin Luther King wants white brotherhood. Then it has Messenger Muhammad wants black brotherhood. And this title alone shows the difference between Islam today and Islam back during the time of the messenger, because it says accept your own or perish. We don't talk about the perish part. We just talk about the accept your own, just mean, you know, I accept that the black man is God. That's pretty much how accept your own mean in this generation of Islam. But the messenger had a definition or what accept your own meant. It comes from the message to the black man, and it's under the section called Black Man Accept Your Own. Then in parentheses, he has God said accept your own. The messenger says it is an act of intelligence and love for us to accept our own. One will say, what is our own? He says, number one, our own people, our own earth, God and His religion Islam, the religion of peace, and our own place in the sun. See, we'll talk about that accepting our people part. You know, that's what accept your own mean. You know, the black man is God. We all from Africa. So I can be a black conscious Christian, and I got the black Jesus instead of the white Jesus. So we make that seem like he accepting his own. No. The messenger said, accepting your own mean your own people, our own earth, God, and His religion, Islam. Because that God and His religion, Islam, is the part that we just kind of kick to the side. Because the God and religion, Islam, got rules and regulations. Right. We don't want the rules part, but we want the, you know, the black man is God part, and I accept my people, you know, I'm black, and all of that. But that wasn't what the messenger said that accept our own meant. And also, in this newspaper, the messenger got in the How to Eat to Live. He says, what Allah has taught me in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. And then he has the How to Eat to Live. But in the cartoon, because the cartoons in the Muhammad Speaks was also teaching too. They didn't just put cartoons in the Muhammad Speaks. In this particular Muhammad Speaks, it got the messenger on the ship. And it got a lot of planes and other ships leaving the coast of America. Then you got black people down here picketing with their picket signs talking about how they love the devil and want to vote and all that kind of stuff. And the messenger says, it has where the messenger is saying, we will separate ourselves and return to our own. If they had only believed in Allah and followed me. So all the people who didn't believe in Allah and follow the messenger getting left. Right. That's what accept your own meant. But we don't talk about Islam the same do or die type of way that the messenger talked about. It's like, you know, it's just another thing to do. But when you look at how the messenger represented Islam, it was different. And this article wasn't written by the messenger. And they actually don't even have who wrote it. I was looking for the name, but it don't have a name. So let's read what they said about accepting your own. And it starts on page 8. And they say, judge between Mr. Muhammad, or judge between what Mr. Muhammad has put forth for the future salvation of black Americans and what the leaders of the NAACP, CORE, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinate Committee offer. So what we see during the time of the messenger, they would compare the messenger's program with other programs. It wasn't this we all black. They would compare the success of the messenger's program against the failures of other people's programs. Yeah. It wasn't trying to show how it was all the same. And that's the main thing that you see with Islam today. We use Islam to show how we all the same. And that's why you see in this generation of Islam, black people act like they more accepting to Islam to come to your meeting and be around you and take pictures. I'm down with the Muslims. Because we ain't talking no rules and laws and perish. We ain't talking that talk. We just talking that accept your own people. You know, you get a black Jesus. You good. But that wasn't how the messenger and the Muslims represented Islam. See, he compares the NAACP, CORE, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinate Committee to the messenger's program. And it says some of the leaders in such organizations as mentioned above have white wives. Can we get away from our slave masters and open enemies with such leaders who have already joined with his slave master through marriage? So they going all the way in. All praise due to Allah. That was Islam during the time of the messenger. He married to a devil. How we gonna follow this person? This organization, the white man founded this and controlled this. How we about to? It wasn't just because you was black, like how we try to do today. And it says, where do we think we are going with an Uncle Tom who has declared himself in love with his slave master and will work against any Negro his master is against? This is the modern picture of that 100-year-old Uncle Tom. He could marry neither his mistress nor her daughters 100 years ago, but now because of their modern trick of the children of the white slave master will allow Uncle Tom to do so because they know where he is headed with such foolish ideas. Now all of these groups during this time was down with the integration. The NAACP, CORE, and the Student Nonviolent Coordinate Committee. All of them was down with integration. And the beautiful thing to look at these Muhammad Speaks newspaper is because they wasn't just criticizing black people to just put your brother down. Let's get that clear. Because we got some Muslims that take that criticism thing and go too far. They wasn't trying to belittle the black man. They basically talking about your program and the things you doing against salvation for the black man. Right. Criticism didn't just mean I'm about to talk about your mama. That wasn't the criticism. I'm going to talk about your kids or something like that. That ain't got nothing to do with the salvation of black. The criticism was your program and your leadership. All praise due to Allah. So we don't want you to think that they was in there, you know, name calling and making jokes about brothers. Right. They wasn't doing that. They was criticizing their program. And at this time in 1965, all of these groups mentioned was for integration. Then it says, some of them are preaching, I want to be the brother of the white folks, while in Alabama, Mississippi, even in Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, and Baltimore, everywhere across the continent, the white man is actually beating and killing the so-called Negro despite the law. Now, when they talking about saying that they want to be the brothers with the white man, they talking about what Martin Luther King said. Because he said that he want to be the brother of the white man and not his brother-in-law. So the Messenger, because this newspaper is a 1965 newspaper. The Muhammad Speaks newspaper, the Message to the Black Man also came out in 1965 with the same criticisms the Messenger had for Dr. King. So this paper is talking mainly about Martin Luther King because all these groups were under the banner of Dr. King during that time, the Civil Rights Movement. So they says any black man preaching brotherhood for his slave master's children needs to be sent to an insane asylum and have his brain nursed back into the knowledge of himself. Now this is what Muslims used to say about black people who used to try to befriend the white man. Look at Islam today. How many white people Muslims befriend? You got the Scientology thing, all them devils in that. And we'll make an excuse talking about the Dale Carnegie, the Messenger had us read that. Or you go to college and your professor was white. You know, trying to sympathize for the white man. But during the time of the Messenger, they say your brain needs to be examined. If you're talking about having friendship with the white man. Then he goes on to say, the Reverend Martin Luther King was in the city of Chicago last week. Most of the people went out to see and to hear him, but not to join him. Would you think his program of integration and civil rights and trying to compare it with the sensible program of Mr. Muhammad? You cannot do it. In this late day and time, we do not need to be fighting all over the country for the white man to accept us as his brother. This was the position of the Muslims on Dr. King. And to also give this newspaper its proper context is Malcolm X got killed in 1965. So the Muslims not only going against Malcolm as a hypocrite, they talking against Dr. King, he a nationally known figure. They talking about the black preacher. They talking about eating hog. They talking about not wearing afro. They talking about all kind of controversial subjects all at the same time. All praise due to Allah. Because we want to keep in the context of the Messenger. Because we all say we follow the Messenger. We all say that. It's easy to say that today. But look at all of the controversial topics. When you look at the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, you look at the cartoons. You look at the cover, the cover article. You look at what the Messenger was talking about in Message to the Black Man. What are you talking about in Fall of Man? Look, all that he talking about. Everything that came up that went against the program, they was talking about it. Right. The leaders, all that. Even leaders who came to visit the Messenger. When they would see them doing something that went against the program, they start talking about them. It ain't make a difference because you came and visit the Messenger. That's how Islam was during the time of the Messenger. We want to go further with what the Messenger said about Dr. King in the Message to the Black Man. And this is on page 217, and it's called The Right of Self-Defense. It says, surely the American so-called Negro will have God and world sympathy on their side if they would take the right steps or actions. The present actions being taken by them are wrong. So the Messenger just flat out said, what black people doing in the civil rights movement is wrong. We don't do that today. What group? Because there's a lot of groups out here. They got the Black Lives Matter. They got all kind of groups that's out. What group do Muslims go hard against saying they wrong? Or discouraging black people that they shouldn't follow them because they headed for hell? We don't talk about the or perish. The Messenger talked about the or perish. Yes. He didn't just say accept your own. And accepting your own meant you in the Nation of Islam, right, under his guidance. That's what accept your own meant. It didn't mean you just coming to some meetings. We got to get that. I was listening to, and it was a while back, and I didn't save the video. But this brother was talking about how he accepted Islam. I forget what city he was in. But he said he was coming to the meeting for about 6-7 months or better. He said that the minister, I believe it was, asked him, look, brother, you've been coming here for about 6-7 months. Like, what you gonna do? You done been listening to the teachings all this time. Like, what? You ain't made your mind up? Like, what you gonna do? This ain't no place to just come and hang out, you know, like the church. You know, we just come to hear some teachings and just chill. No, you been here. What you gonna do? That's how that brother died. I was like, wow, what you gonna do? Like, you taking up a seat another lost found could be in here. All praises to Allah. And that's how that brother was like, dang. He eventually accepted, but he was even kind of shocked like that. He just came at me like, what you doing? Like, you gonna accept it or not? It wasn't like how we are with this all day coming around. We just palsy-wowsy, this our buddy, he been coming. It wasn't like that with the message. What you gonna do? It was militant and military. We got other people out here that might accept, and you taking up space. What it's gonna be? We even accept people who took the teachings out of the temple, formed their other group, and now we palsy with them. People who speak against the message. They in their teachings. They talk against the messenger, they talk against Master Farad Muhammad. We palsy with them. Because there's a lot of groups that's out here today whose direct teachings talk against the message. A lot of Pan-Africanists talk against the message. A lot of these black Hebrew Israelites talk against the message. And it's cool now to talk about Muslims all in the public. That didn't happen when you read the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Brothers wasn't aggressive. Brothers wasn't attacking people. But there was certain things you wasn't saying just freely, just talking about Muslims, like people just freely be saying anything they want to say about the message without somebody saying something. Right. I'm talking about hardcore saying, and not just like, well, brother, you know, like, no, like, look, man, what you talking about? Like, why you saying that? Where you get that from? Right. Like, you're not just going to talk about him any old kind of way and think we just going to be sitting around and still be palsy with you. But we be palsy with everybody. People who speak against the message. They had Jamal Bryant. And to show you what all of this sympathizing do, Jamal Bryant was interviewed at one of these Ivy League colleges. They let him speak at one of these Muslim functions. Another thing that rarely happened with the message, if you had a person speaking in a Muslim function where you was introducing yourself, telling about how you agree with the message program, you wasn't teaching. Right. But now, we had these big Muslim functions, preacher talking, white man talking, everybody teaching. So Jamal Bryant, the ice maker, was interviewed at this college. They asked him why he didn't allow one of these big time ministers to come to his church. He was like, they don't let me come today, mosque and teach. He was like, because he know that if I come there to teach, half of his congregation coming with me. He said that when he went to this little Muslim function and taught, he said that it was Muslims that came up to him and said, if I would have heard Christianity taught like how you teaching it, I would have never left the church. This is what he's saying in public about the Nation of Islam. You think C.L. Franklin was a big time preacher back in the day? You think he would have said, the messenger don't let me go and teach in temple number 2 because he know I'd take half of his followers? No, he wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't even said that about one of the messenger's ministers saying something crazy like that, because Muslims would have browbeat him to death. All praises to Allah. What you mean? You would have took half, and them brothers, who was them brothers that told you that? Gonna sit up there and tell you if they would have heard, no, you couldn't just do what you wanted to do. In the Nation of Islam during the time of the messenger. And he's saying this in public, so he don't care who know. Yeah, I'd take half of y'all followers. He think that the Ice House got more juice than the Nation of Islam. And that's because we sympathize. They had a Muhammad Speaks newspaper where they had converted a whole church. A whole church came to the message. Preachers used to bear witness to the message. You would have ministers that would go to them churches, and the preacher bearing witness to the message, teaching the stuff out the message to the black man. That's how it was when the messenger was alive. Wasn't all this sympathizing with them. He's still the ice maker. Christianity's still the white man religion. But hey, he waking up because he accepting the messenger. That's how it was. It wasn't all of this palsy-wowsy stuff and you still an ice maker. You ain't accepted the messenger. You ain't said nothing about his program. And you speaking against him, but our black brother. No. So the messenger says, he says the present actions being taken by them are wrong. For the action consists of demanding that the slave master accept their slaves, so-called Negroes, as their equals and as equal shares in whatever the master has. Such a social respect, which will destroy both as a people and equal share in the government, decent housing conditions, and equal employment, not that they do not deserve it, but no master of anything can accept an unequal as his equal. This law of nature is divinely respected. And this is the part that we need to digest in this generation. The messenger said if they, Martin Luther King and his followers, would accept the right way, which is the belief in Allah as God and Islam as a religion, and demand a place on this earth for our 20 million or more people that they can call their own, I would demand that every one of my followers join forces in a minute. This is Islam doing. He didn't say he just wanted to join with Dr. King or none of these groups. But he told them what they could do if they wanted him to join them. He said if they, Martin Luther King and his followers, would accept the right way. So if you keep accepting the wrong way, I ain't with you. But if they decide to accept the right way, he didn't leave it up to them to choose what the right way was. He said if you choose the right, and the right way is, which is the belief in Allah as God and Islam as a religion. Demand a place on this earth for our 20 million or more people that they can call their own. He said, I would demand that every one of my followers join forces in a minute. Yes. The message. And that with his ministers too. You weren't trying to join with these people just because they black. You can even listen to old school brothers the way they talk about these people. They don't talk about them like we do. I remember I talking to this brother one time about, and this was when I was still kind of new, when you meet a lot of brothers who used to be in the day. Because I'm thinking, we all black, like how the perspective is in this generation. They was the Black Panthers, these was the black this and that. Brothers don't talk about them like that. They talk like they taking it from the messenger, brother. It wasn't none of them. Them brothers who was in the 30s and 40s, it wasn't none of them, and will tell you and be militant about it. Like, well, they wasn't even around, brother. It was us. Right. Brothers talking about how when they went from calling themselves colored people and Negro to calling themselves black, brothers say, we used to have to fight. Them brothers wasn't around nowhere. They didn't come until the 60s, late 60s. We out here in the 30s telling a black man that he not colored. They say they used to have to fight. But we talk about these people and give black people the impression that everybody got something to do with this consciousness today. It wasn't just the messenger. You know, the Black Panthers got their part they played. Stokely Carmichael and Angela Davis and all of them got their little part. The messenger wasn't the only one. But when you look at Muslims in the day, the messenger was the only one when you talk to them. Them ones who was out there. And we can even look at the history. Because the history bears witness to the fact that the messenger was the one. This book is called Black Power, Radical Politics, and African American Identity. Now, when you read these books by these lost founds, their perspective ain't like us as Muslims, but you can still get the truth. Sometimes they throw shots, especially when you read these Black Panther books. They try to take shots at the messenger and the Muslims. But the history that they talking about, you can't lie about the history when you got the documented facts. You can still get the history from them, even though sometimes they taking shots too. But this book, the brother said, the Nation of Islam, or the nation, had no real southern presence. It did have a foothold in major cities of the South, including Atlanta, which had a number of SNCC workers. Now, SNCC was in this article that they was talking against. Right. Remember that. SNCC, who visited the city to party or vacation from trying activities of the movement. Many other were students in the city for the city's 4 black undergrad colleges: Clark, Morehouse, Morris Brown, and Spelman. And remember last week, C. Eric Lincoln taught at a college in Atlanta too. So this kind of bears witness to what C. Eric Lincoln was talking about. Because these were college students who was a part of the movement, and that's why SNCC was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Right. The college students. So they talking about the college students in Atlanta. He says in Atlanta, some SNCC workers visited the local mosque of the Nation of Islam to hear Minister Jeremiah X author a black nationalist interpretation of history and current events. As Julian Bond explained, the Muslims were not particularly admired for their vituperative language against whites. It was easy stuff to say in an all-black community. There was a particular appeal that Minister Jeremiah X offered in Atlanta, however. So they talking about how the Muslims was the one, even though they throw some shots. Talking about it was easy to say in an all-black community, trying to say he wasn't really, but it was easy to say. But Jeremiah still had a certain amount of appeal that them students was going to listen to. Right. That's the fact that we want. All this other stuff, it don't matter. Then it says by 1965, John Churchville, Curtis Hayes, and a handful of other SNCC staff had joined the Nation of Islam. Most SNCC workers, however, remained critical of the nation's defiant talk but conciliatory behavior. For many who were attached to the bold nationalist language of the nation but discouraged by its lack of activism. That's a good point in history. Muslims wasn't out here doing all this activism like Muslims do now. Muslims marching. That's activism. Muslims are a part of these other organizations marching and picketing. Other groups didn't like how the Muslims didn't participate in that. And that's what they're saying. We like they nationalist talk, but they wasn't involved. But they still coming to the meeting though. That's the one thing that we want to keep in mind. It says in spring of 1966, SNCC Atlanta Project emerged as a black power juggernaut promoting a new direction, which did not include white membership. Praise be to Allah. So we see in last week's Jet magazine in 1963, Brother Jeremiah told them they couldn't come to his meeting with white folks. So in 1966, after all them years of going to listen to Jeremiah, listening to him criticize them, listen to them talk about Dr. King, listen to them talk about integrating with the white man, marrying devils and all that. So in 1966, they want to take a new direction. They didn't take a new direction because they took the approach we take with this all my black brother stuff. They took the approach, this more militant approach, because they was being criticized. And that's the one thing we got to remember when we look at these Muhammad. The messenger was criticizing you if you didn't accept his program. That's what he was doing. He wasn't just with the black brother stuff. So it goes on to say, it says project staff regularly used the term black to refer to people of African descent by early 1966. Use of the term Negro was banned or used diversely to refer to those who were too conservative, timid, or ignorant to help the black cause. Now they changing their language now. Right. Not only do they like don't let the white man come in, we like this black talk too. So they banned the word Negro. This the messenger. Right. This wasn't Stokely Carmichael. This wasn't the Black Panther Party. This was before them. So they the ones who start picking up some of the messages program. Then it says, echoing the mantra of the nation, SNCC chairman H. Rap Brown declared that Negroes had a hard time accepting anything black unless it's been legitimized by white people. So now they even identifying with the leaders who taking on the talk like the nation. And we want to go even further with history, because this was in 1966 when they finally began to accept the Nation of Islam, to start emulating the Nation of Islam, because at first they was rejected. So we want to go all the way back to 1956. And I said last week that Jeremiah was in Atlanta in 1956. He was actually in there in 1957. So he was there a year after. But the point still remains. Whoever the minister was in Atlanta, they was doing their job for the message. That's the whole point. All praise due to Allah. This comes from the July 21st, 1956 Pittsburgh Carrier. And this was the letter to the editors. It says, Atlanta readers go for Mr. Muhammad. It was so many people from Atlanta, this particular issue, writing about the messenger in 1956. 10 years before the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee decided to start emulating the Muslims. This one reader says, the title of his response is, "He is what people need." It says, since many of my friends have spoken to me about the man, Mr. Muhammad, and most of the college students around Atlanta seem to like his articles on the Negro, or the so-called Negro, we think you should let us hear more about him and Islam. The truth is there. I know it for a fact. But tell us, where is he? And can we hear about his life story? He is what the people need. All praise due to Allah. And we see how this history bears witness to what Sir Eric Lincoln was talking about in his book, when he said that he had a student in his college or in his class writing about the teachers of the messenger. In this book, this brother's book called The Black Power, Radical Politics, and African American Identity, he talking about how the students was going to the temple listening to Jeremiah. Right. And this also proves it wasn't no #1 student, because this is Atlanta. Right. Malcolm wasn't in Atlanta. The #1 student wasn't in Atlanta. None of these big eyes that's around the country that we like to talk about was in Atlanta in 1956. Right. This was Jeremiah and another brother who was in Atlanta. But in the Pittsburgh Carrier, they had so many people reading the Pittsburgh Carrier that they had a whole letter to the editor dedicated to the messenger. And all of these people, you got another one. It says, I have been reading your wonderful paper, and it's the best out. Tell me this man, Mr. Muhammad. Who is he? Where did he come from? I would like to hear more about him. It looks like he's for us. We should be for him also. All praise due to Allah. So the history bears witness to the fact that the messenger was the one who changed the black people's views, changed their religions, changed their ideas, changed their eating habits, their names, and all of that. All praise due to Allah. Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I'll leave you as I came in the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. And we like to bring up our minister, Brother Minister Levi Karim, and give him a hand.
Let's give Brother Minister another round of applause. Thank you. Praise be to Allah. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, the true and living God, we forever thank him. Created up in our midst, a divine leader, teacher, and guide, in the person of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. May the peace and blessings of Almighty God, Allah, ever be upon him. Truly grateful on his coming and giving us his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. May the peace and blessing of Allah ever be upon him. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be a witness bearer in this day and time, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was his last and greatest messenger. I thank him, and I pray Allah that we all be worthy of this great task that we coming before us. So I greet you once again, brothers and sisters, with the nation greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. You know, this is a great day. I say it all the time, we don't know how important it is to the believers. It's a great day for some and a terrible day for others. And we know that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that this world is headed for destruction. And we see that. This is a confused world. And this is an angry world. It's full of filth, indecency, and evil. And we can easily get caught up in it, get trapped in it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that to be wary of this fish's net. And when you lay a trap, that's what it is. And I looked it up, it says that some nets mean fish traps. Now, we're not talking about a little fish. We're talking about men, people. And we know that the devil always laying traps. He got them laid everywhere. So you have to be real careful. That's for men and women. We both are fishermen of men. The nation is fishermen of men. And the devil also, he is a fisherman of men. But he had one particular in mind. That's the black man. He don't care about, he wants the black man. Because he knows from him come all. If I can get him and make the God look foolish. See? So we have to really be careful and thank Allah and remember the times. So it said before, we must have said we wouldn't want to get caught napping. We've been sleeping for 400 years. So we know America's headed for destruction. And you can see it's calamity after calamity. This is happening. Allah is using the forces of nature against America, against the white man, the devil, for his mistreatment of his slave, the black man and woman. Look at the cold weather. Just take the cold weather. Blistering cold it was. Allah is showing this devil his power. The devil think he gonna win. Because anybody with common sense ought to know, has this God got the power over all things, even our brain, you would think you would submit. It's okay, you to God, but no, it's not in him to submit to Almighty God Allah. This whole government here, the whole white race, just about, is against Islam. You have a few, the messengers say, that will accept it on the count of their belief. But by nature, they're not Muslims by nature. So Allah rewards them, the good God and merciful God as he is, on them accepting it, he even blessed them. Just like Pharaoh did in his day when he sucked all that water up for being disobedient. He bore witness. Allahu Akbar. You are the God. Now, but he showed a little mercy and let his name live. You know, it was for a good purpose. To warn others. See, that's the good purpose it was for. Because he didn't do nothing deserving. He was against Allah, against Jehovah. But he let him live his name. Pharaoh. Right on up to the day people know about Pharaoh and his army. Got drowned in the Red Sea. All that, we know about that. See? But it was for a purpose. Yeah, Pharaoh was drowning in the Red Sea because he disobeyed Moses. That's why his name, I let his name live so that you fools will understand. The same thing happened to you. See? It may not be water, it can be fire. It can get you up here. It can be distress. It can be all kinds of ways Allah can get you and I. But he's merciful. And we should be thankful to Almighty God Allah who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad. You know, the message taught us that the white man, you know, we wasn't brought here to be equal with the white people. I heard that today too. We were brought here for slave purposes. That's all the message said. We helped build America. This is how great she is today. The black man helped build it through his and her sweat and blood. Didn't get paid not one penny. Wasn't offered not an acre of land. Worked him from can't see to can't see. So our lives after him now. The weather's been so cold. I went to the cleaners yesterday. And I know the guy, you know. He said, "Hey, Levi, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?" He said, "We made it through, didn't we?" I said, "Yeah, the weather? Yeah, we made it through. Be springtime pretty soon." It was cold. All these cities. It was cold. And Michigan don't usually get that cold. Some of these cities, that's like you see snow in some cities. They don't get snow, and when they see snow, they panics. All this cold weather. It was blistering cold. Just think if he take it down a couple of notches. We couldn't bear it. And this fool still want to fight. See? But he's not going to give it up without a fight. Without a fight. See? But the message said that his followers are going to be successful. But we have to have patience. All this comes into play. We must have patience with the God. Because he most certainly had patience with us. But see, we don't have patience with him. We see like our patience run out to the God. When it comes down to obeying something, when it comes down, something ain't happening like it should quick, we don't have the patience. But he got patience with you, though. All you done did and constantly do, all we done did, have to go back and say our prayers and make all that, then we fall back down to some other flaw. Well, we ain't have patience. That ain't right. That ain't right there. We should have all the patience. All the patience in the world. We should have it. Because that's how we're going to make it. We have to be patient. You know, that's the biggest mistake he made, the white man made when he brought us here. When he kidnapped our foreparents and brought them here. They was kidnapped. They was deceived. They said they brought them here with John Hawkins and all others. They're going to receive gold for their labor. More than they were in their own country. When they got here, they didn't get no gold. The trader disappeared. The messenger said. And there wasn't nobody there to speak their language. So you ain't got nobody to speak your language. You in a strange land. Not of your own. You was brought over here on the good ship Jesus. All of us are foreparents. They suffered. The messenger said, "How this beast? He's a devil." They suffered. When our little brothers and sisters was born, the devil, the messenger said, took them from them, shot them, killed them. And the only teacher was the devil. So he put in him what he wanted to put in him. He taught him to be other than his own self, which his own self is a righteous Muslim. He taught him to be a Christian. He taught him that when he died, he go to heaven. He taught him to believe in Jesus as his Lord. That's what he taught him. And they carried it right on up until today. He put fear in our foreparents when they was babies. That's what the messenger taught us. And we still go around and we get caught in this fish's net. And like this spider's web. The fish's net and the spider's web is for the same purpose. Right. It's for the same purpose, but one is more attractive than the other. One stands out more than the other, but they camouflaged where you can't see the trap because you see beauty. You see sport and play, love the world. You see all that glitter that appeals to you and me. But they fail to realize the Holy Quran said that Allah will raise a messenger from among the dead. Now, Elijah Muhammad, he was a brother like you and me, to teach them the way to God, Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad. And he did that. He taught and gave us the way to Allah. He put us on the path. Then we had to take it from here. He taught us what we need to do to be successful as followers of the messenger. So we're like that prodigal son who want to go out and adventure on his own, men and women. Go out and adventure on his own because he thought something was better for him in the world. He thought it was lovely in the world. He thought he could get all the luxuries. He fell in love with the white man's wealth. He fell in love with the white man's way of life. He didn't have the patience. But he got caught in that spider's web. The glitter. Oh, I can do to all the glitter, sport and play, all the fame he thought he was going to get. But he had it in heaven. He already was in heaven. He just didn't have the patience. He wanted it right now. Allah's the best knower. He give it to us when he get ready to give it to us. We can't get it no other way. So we have to have patience, which he didn't. And he got caught up in this spider's web, fishing net, whatever he got caught up in it. And that's what's happening today. Our people and Muslims and all got caught up in this spider's web, in this fish's net. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he always say, be careful who you follow. You might be following a hypocrite. He said, if that's not teaching you like I taught you, you get up and walk right on out. That's what he said. So it's no excuse. Ain't no excuse. You just a prodigal son. You love the devil's civilization. You like to get high. You like to smoke weed. You like to have 2, 3 women. That's what they advocate. More than one wife. Messenger never taught that. He can believe what he want to believe. The messenger said he had one wife, and I believe he had one wife, and that was Sister Claire Muhammad. Now, any other you come up, that's your business. You just been lied to. That's all that is. You've been lied to. The messenger had one wife. That's all he had. And that was Sister Claire Muhammad. And that's all that the believers back in the day knew what he had. You know, this wife things, brother, it's something. They talked about the prophets, David and Noah and all of them. They accused them of incest, all these different things they accused the prophets of. And the messenger said that he had to go through the same thing. The prophets back in the day was lied on. And the messenger was lied on. Even me and you be lied on. That's because of the truth that we stand for. But the master said one thing about it, they can't take my messengership. They can't take that. He said, I am the messenger of Allah. And he is. He was the messenger of Allah, the last and greatest messenger of them all. So this is who we follow. The greatest God that ever been. And the last and greatest messenger. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's none other coming after him. Ain't no messenger. He's the end of it. He's the seal of the prophet. The book is closed. He's the end of all of it. Now, it's in the hands of Allah, and always have been in the hands of Allah. So we're very fortunate, brothers and sisters, to be followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because this prodigal son, when he got out there, or she got out there, it wasn't like they thought it was. They thought they was going to have fame. You know, some of our people love to, you know, they'd rather have fame and honor instead of submitting to the laws and rules and regulations of Allah's messenger. And his laws and rules of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to better us, to make us better believers. And doing it with there's trials. There's a lot of trials and things that we have to go through. A lot of times we say, oh, we heard that before. Yeah, we heard it before. We're going to constantly hear. You heard the white man was the devil. The messenger said that all throughout his life. He didn't change it, not one word, until death took him. White man is the devil. He always will be the devil. And don't you ever forget it. He's the devil. You can't change him. Well, we got to flip it and say, and come a different way. He's Caucasian, and he comes a different way. He's a devil. He's the skunk of the planet Earth. He's a deceiver, a liar, and a murderer. That's what Jesus said he was. All right, praise be to Allah. So we're very, very fortunate to have this knowledge. See? And it's a guidance. It's a direction. It keeps us in order. See? The messenger don't have to, he's gone. He's not coming back. But that's what he taught us lives within you and I. We're able to obey it and carry it on. See, look how successful we've been so far. Why? Because we carrying the teachings of the messenger 100%. That's going to get us through. That's the only thing going to get us through. Obedience to Allah's messenger. Submit our will to do the will of Allah. That's what's going to get us through. See? To obey his teachings. This is going to happen. And this is why we're so successful. See? They coming. They ain't got nowhere to go. They going to come sooner or later. Sooner as Allah get through whooping them, they're going to come in a hurry. Praise be to Allah. They'll come in a hurry. That's right. So we don't have to worry about a thing. Let's just not get caught in that fish's net. Because it's everywhere. This devil, he's not going down without a fight. He come up with all kind of new techniques. All kinds of stuff that he's coming up with. He watches us 24/7. He got everything bugged. Yes. I was reading the other day, said he got little cameras and toasters. In your toaster. You bake in your toaster. I was a private guy. I said, what? I didn't think about toaster. You know, he got bugs all over your place. You know. So you gotta have God with you. You can't. We helpless. We pray if Allah not with us. We can't make it. He'll crush us. But Allah knows what he's thinking. He knows what he's going to do. He can turn it on him and make him do what he wants him to do. That's the God. See, that's the God. And he knows and he watches everything. He knows all. He sees all. He see him too. Especially him. He got something good for him. And he's the only one who can destroy him. We can't do nothing to him. We can't do. Only thing we can do, what I'm saying, is try to get our lost found brothers and sisters, because truth kills him. That's what kills him, truth. See, he can't stand truth. He can't stand in the way of truth. He got to flee. See, truth came from Allah. He's the founder of truth. He is truth. See, so we're very fortunate, brothers and sisters, to be followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And keep in mind that this is a hard job. It's not easy. It's work 24/7, something to do all the time. That's right. All the time is something to do. So we shouldn't let ourselves get caught up. See? But a lot of them go out. Seen plenty of them. Seen plenty of them go out. See them today. I see them today. Look like some of them look like they're drunk. He said that's one of the chastisements. It's one of the calamities. It's calamity after calamity. Men looking like a walk around like they're drunken. They're stricken with grief, sorrow, and shame. I know the feeling. But I was out there for 10 years. I used to look out the window and see people. They come on my mind. You know where you're supposed to be. What you doing? You know you're supposed to be at the temple. That's what you're telling me. He gets us here. I'm telling you something I know. I ain't telling you something I'm just pulling out the air. I was grieved. I grieved. Thank Allah I made it back. Thank Allah I made it back. So if you ever not been out there, don't. I'll tell you something before you go out there. If you got that thought on your mind, if you're standing on the verge, because things are not running too good, or things are not going fast enough, whatever it is, don't go. It's for your own self. But I mean, if you want to go, you can go ahead on. But I'm telling you, you should get at another thought. Try to, you know, have a little patience and wait a little while. See what happens. See? You had patience when you was out there. These things, it's real. Look, the messenger, he taught for 44 years. He taught. He did his part. He did his job. 44 years he taught. So now, if you want to go out to prodigal son, ain't nothing else he can teach you and I. Right. Nothing else. That's why you had the repeated Muhammad speaks. Because he taught us, he said, I taught you everything, in my conclusion. I taught you everything that you need to know to go for yourself as a nation of people. Praise be to Allah. He said, there's nothing else that I can teach you. Right. So what are you waiting on? If you're waiting on the messenger, you're waiting on the spook messenger. Right. Messenger not coming back. He told us that. Right. See? Get some land. Yes. That's what he said. Pool your resources. Buy 5 acres over here, let some Muslim brother go cultivate it and drop some seeds in it. Because that's what's going to happen pretty soon when the devil cut us loose. Because he going to cut us loose. When Trump get through, he going to cut us loose. Trump get through, he'll probably be lying all around the corner. I thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Didn't say nothing about it. Just he ain't said nothing about it too. What is it? Black Day. Black History Day. Black History. I ain't even think about it. I ain't nothing even think about it. Anybody say nothing about it? Well, they don't really believe it themselves. I ain't thought about it.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful. So, Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live, the alone that we serve and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is our true servant and last apostle. Ameen. Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum. Everybody, 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 everybody.